person that you've been needing to rescue you is looking at you in the mirror. It's you, boo. What if not getting chosen was the best thing that ever happened to you? As humans, we spend so much of our lives trying to be and worrying about being picked for the job, picked for the relationship, picked in the friendship, picked to be seen, picked for the opportunity, picked for the brand deal, picked. And sometimes when it doesn't happen, you may think that something is wrong with you. But sometimes being overlooked gives you something being chosen never could. When nobody is choosing you, eventually you have two options. You could keep waiting, or you can decide that you just don't need anyone else's permission anymore. You don't need their validation, and you can choose yourself. There's so much more power in that. When you don't need someone else's permission, you start to decide to do things as you please, as you desire, as you want. You don't need permission to start creating. You don't need permission to go out and have fun. You don't need anyone to determine if you're talented enough. You don't need anyone to determine if you're valuable enough. You can just go for it, because who's stopping you? You're not waiting for anyone to tell you to do anything anymore. Start making that film without anyone giving you a budget or offering you any money. You just figure out how to make it happen, because who are you waiting for? No one. It's you. You choose to do that. You stop asking the question, does somebody believe in me? You don't need somebody to believe in you. You need to believe in you. The person that you've been waiting for, the person that you've been needing to choose you, the person that you've been needing to validate you, the person that you've been needing to rescue you is looking at you in the mirror. It's you, boo. It's only you. Eventually you start to ask yourself a different question. Do I believe in my own self enough to begin? That's a completely different kind of confidence. That's a freeing type of confidence, because now it's just you and your dreams. There's nothing really in between to stop you, or to gatekeep you, or to hold you back, or push you forward at their will. Now you can be held back or be pushed forward by your own will. That's empowering. Now the reality is that being chosen does feel good. But if you're constantly waiting to be chosen, you can become addicted to other people's approval, other people's validation, which means then you're becoming addicted to what other people deem as valuable. And sometimes you can get really lost in that and forget about what it is that you actually feel and deem valuable. Being overlooked can break that habit of needing that validation from other people and approval from other people. Eventually you realize that applause is not guaranteed, and so you just learn to keep going anyways. And somewhere along the way, you start doing it for yourself. You start doing it because it feels good to you, because it's healing for you. And that's when you start to actually make progress. And that's when your work becomes your own, and you start to live in a space of authenticity. Plus, there's just something about being underestimated that makes you incredibly resourceful. When you don't have the connections, and you don't have the money, and you don't have the recognition, or even the opportunities, You have no way of knowing how it's all going to work out for you. And somehow this drive inside of you just makes you keep going anyways, and you find it all. And that's where in that process is where you learn how to make something out of nothing. You figure things out. You learn how to do what you never thought you could do. You show yourself that you're made of much more than you ever could have imagined. You become greater than you ever were when you first began. You transform into a different version of yourself that's so much more capable. You become creative because you have to. You stop waiting for the perfect circumstances, the perfect timing, and you start working with what you have. Sometimes the person who had everything handed to them never develops the ability to create something from nothing. But the person who had to fight for every opportunity, the person that had to create something out of nothing, they become dangerous. And nothing can stop them. You know, it's easy to feel confident when everyone's telling you that you're great, that you're good, that you're accepted, that you're approved of, that you're wanted, that you're talented, that you're beautiful. Well, that's easy to feel accepted. The real test happens when nobody's watching. What will you do then? Will you keep going? Will you continue because it's what's on your heart, what you love, what you're passionate about, what you were born to do? Knowing that at some point the opportunity will come where people will see what you've built and they will love the authentic expression that you've been building when no one was watching. The real test happens when nobody cares, when nobody knows your name, when nobody's congratulating you and nobody's approving you, when the audition doesn't work out and you don't get the part, when your project doesn't get greenlit, when the person that you wanted doesn't choose you. And that's where you discover whether you actually love what you're doing or whether you only love being recognized for doing it. The attention, the approval. Maybe you only love that. But it's so much more important to actually love what you're doing. Sometimes in life, the thing that you actually wanted wasn't meant for you, and that's okay. It redirects you to whatever is authentically yours. It redirects you to focus in and hone in on your instincts and your natural talents and gifts and what you actually want for yourself. It makes you reevaluate and reassess, do I actually want to do this? And will I do it for nothing? Will I do it if no one ever sees me? Will I do it if it never comes out in this lifetime that people know me for that but I did it anyways? There's so many great artists that actually died and they never even got the fame, but they loved doing the work. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Vincent van Gogh was one of those. He wasn't famous in his life. He was pretty tormented and tortured, but he loved doing his art and he did it with his soul. And look how beautiful it is. We can appreciate it now. But he didn't get that recognition and notoriety when he was alive. But he did the work anyways, and now he's getting it in his afterlife. We will be talking about his name for years and years to come. That could be you. Sometimes though, and what I've learned in life is that sometimes when you're not meant to be chosen, it's really for a greater purpose. Yeah, it helps you be authentic. Yes, it helps you try to determine and understand if you actually love what you're doing. But more importantly, when you go down that lonely path and you choose to continue to do what you love, you learn that you start to build your own table. You don't need a seat at the table. You don't need to be chosen to sit at the table. You can build your own table. Because let me tell you something, honey. When you build your own table, you get to do the picking at your table. Okay? So you go from not being picked to being the one picking. And that's when you follow your dreams. When you follow your creative passion, you get to be the person that sits at the head of the table, and you get to choose everyone that gets to be at your table. But when you're building when no one's looking, that's the time where you're building a table worthwhile. Build something that's worthwhile, that people want to sit at. But don't build it for other people. Build it for you. Build it because it's what you love. And let me tell you, it will be worthwhile. And people will want to sit at your table. People will want to be known by you. People will want to be seen with you. People will want to be associated with you. People will want to be a part of your projects. And guess what? You'll get to be the person who handpicks every single person at your table. Now, I'm going to speak from my experience, because this is something that I thought of this year when I was doing my film. You know, I never really was trying to be an actress or anything like that, but when I was a small child, I thought that I was gonna be an actress, and I wanted to be that, and I thought that would be so cool. And I just always when I was in high school, I was never picked for like the major roles. And it was no sweat off my back. I didn't think anything too much about it, but I did want it at that time. But I had a thought about that briefly this year when I was picking the people to sit at my table for my film that I was producing, creatively directed, that I created. I wrote, produced, and directed, and did the casting for, both my cast and crew. I said, wow. I may not have gotten to be the fairy godmother like I wanted to be when I was in high school, in the high school play, but baby, 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 I just made a film that I love, that I wrote, that I produced, that I worked hard to save the money for. I got to pay all the people, and I got to choose who gets to sit at my table. And I want to tell you that you can do that too, but you can only do that if you believe in yourself, and you believe that it's okay to not be a part of other people's projects. It's okay to miss out. It's okay to not be chosen. So what? Build your own table, and build it well, because there's gonna be more people that want to sit at your table than you even have spaces available, honey. You have to turn some away. Okay, so that's my message for today. And if you are still here, build your table. Please like this video. It helps to get out into the world so that people who need this message can have the opportunity to see it. Also, please share it with someone who's trying to build a dream and trying to be greater than what they are, and who's creative in some capacity.